Tonight we're going to make a really simple meatloaf. So heating up in a skillet is a couple tablespoons of butter. And when it starts to sizzle, then we're going to add our onions. Just make sure you spread it out in the pan, just like I did. That's one medium-sized yellow onion. I cut up all my vegetables, so there's like a little piece of tomato in there, but don't worry about that. So just keep mixing that until it becomes like a golden brown. You really want to kind of cook these down a little bit. You know, right now they're kind of translucent and they're starting to sweat, and the liquid's being drawn from them, allowing us to get the true flavor from the onions. And at this point, I'm going to add my mushrooms. So I just got an 8-ounce pack of mushrooms, cut them up, and just added them to the pan after the onions are cooked down a little bit, like you just saw. I'm adding some salt and pepper here. Now the salt's going to draw out the liquid from the mushrooms. So I'm just going to cook that for a couple minutes. Constantly mixing, constantly stirring, just to draw all those flavors and combine them well. Then we're going to add a couple tablespoons of garlic. I just had a couple cloves of garlic and I minced them up really fine. So now we're going to mix that up pretty well. At this point, the fire is just at a medium. You don't want the fire up too high because it'll burn the garlic. So just keep mixing, keep combining your garlic and your onions and your mushrooms. It smells amazing. So then we're going to add our red bell pepper. I just took half a red bell pepper and cut it up. Same thing with an orange bell pepper and a yellow bell pepper. They all have their own unique flavors and levels of sweetness and heat. So just mix those up pretty well. Here I'm adding an 8-ounce pack of cream cheese. I left the cream cheese out for about an hour so it can soften up. So just keep mixing that well. At this point, I turn the fire off. And then just keep mixing that, and we're going to put that to the side for it to cool while we combine our meat. So we have 2 pounds of ground beef here, 80-20 ratio. Ground beef or minced beef, however you want to call it. You got salt and pepper. Also added some Mrs. Dash. You could just get any combination of dried herbs you want. Also added some dried parsley, some smoked paprika, some oregano, some Parmesan cheese. 10 ounces of Parmesan cheese. Also added some red pepper flakes and 3 eggs. But we're just going to mix this up pretty well. You can dig your hands in there and get them all messy, but we're also going to add that mixture that we made earlier in the heated pan with the mushrooms and the onions and the cream cheese. And when that's all combined, I'm just going to put it in this pan just to mold it into the shape of a loaf. So I put it in the loaf pan at first, making sure to pack it up real nice. So make sure I scoop everything out of the bowl. As it turned out, it was just enough to cover the top. So I just smoothed it out with the flat part of the spoon, just to make sure everything was distributed evenly before I turn it over. So I'm turning it over here, lifting it up. It should slide right out nice and smooth, just like that. You can leave it like that, but I wanted to shape it a little bit. It just wasn't saying loaf to me just yet. So I shaped it to what I think a loaf looks like. And I put it in a 400-degree oven for an hour. And at the half-hour point, I take it out and I put some tomato sauce on it. I'll have another video to show you how to make a basic tomato sauce, but any tomato sauce will do. You could just buy it out the jar. And we're going to return that to the oven for another half hour. I'm going to cook it an hour total. There it is, nice and delicious and crispy and moist and so good. The sauce cooked perfectly. The meat was tender. I sliced it here. Also added a little fancy kind of garnish around. Take a good photo of it. I ate it with some broccoli. It was very good. You've got to try it.